Good afternoon. Welcome to the Romelite Show. I'm sitting in. I hijacked the stage for my man Jerome today, so we put him to the side, and we're going to sit here and host the show today. Today, my name is DB Bedford, and I'm here with my man Mario, my man Lamar, and we're going to talk a little bit about this exciting book that I have coming out that I want to share with you guys, and then we're going to chop it up about a bunch of different topics or whatnot, but we're glad for you guys for tuning in this afternoon. So, first, my book, iNeverWorry, is a concept that I created way back in 95, 96, which started as a t-shirt concept, but then slowly evolved into training and consulting by teaching people how to manage their emotions, managing their emotions, and then skillfully being able to respond to the emotions of others. And so it's a very unique proprietary blend I put together by using emotional intelligence and temperament theory. And so I'm very excited for it to come out. This was my first book ever, first published book. It'll be out July 31st. We're going to celebrate the book release over at the 44 restaurant at 3290 Alcatraz Boulevard, or Avenue, in Berkeley. So you guys are more than welcome to come on out to a nice little social mission and celebrate the publishing of my first book. So, Mario, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, brother.
Good. How you doing today, man?
Doing all right.
All right.
On the book, iNeverWorry. That's first of all, that's a great topic, and it's a great title. And we talked a bit off camera, and you had some things that was very enticing to me that you talked about that gave me some insight about the book. Now, iNeverWorry. How'd you come up with that title?
Yeah, so originally it was just Never Worry, and working real closely with my man Rod Campbell. One day I was on Facebook and I seen this post that said "I hustle," and so I just reposted it and put the Never Worry under the "I hustle." And my man Rod hit me and said, "Why not just put I in front of the Never Worry?" So I thought that was pretty dope. So I took a look at it. I put it in front of it. I liked the way it looked. So I did a little research because I was curious what that lowercase I, what did it actually represent? And so when I looked and seen the history, when Apple and them came out with that, their idea was to represent intelligence, information, things of that nature. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to rebrand what I have been doing for all these years and tie it into who I am today, which is, doing a lot of training, consulting, counseling with folks, intervention, working with young people and families. It gave me an opportunity to tie all the brand all into everything that's happening with me now.
Now, what made you put effort into putting this book out? Why this book?
Okay, good. That's a good question, Mario. So, motivated by a couple of things, back to Rod again. I seen him put his book out, Diary of a Hustler, and I watched how he just took that idea and just put it into fruition and was able to get his thoughts out on paper and get it moving. I had been thinking about a book a couple of years ago, but it was really going to be about my life story. But I never really got excited about it, although, some people feel like my story is somewhat interesting because, growing up in Brookfield, growing up in Oakland, surviving the streets like most of us have. But to be somebody who spent a lot of time in juvenile hall and things of that nature, and then to come back and work at juvenile hall and then be supervising some of the staff that locked me up back then, people feel like that's a story within itself. And then also to be in Santa Rita and be in the adult system and to overcome that and then be very good friends with the judge and district attorney that prosecuted and sentenced me. So people feel good about that story. So that's originally where it started. But I feel like I was ready to tell that entire story. And so the platform of emotional intelligence and temperament theory is something that I do on a day-to-day basis. And I kind of wanted to lead with that. And so once I was able to decide, right, like that's where I wanted to go. Because for years I've been unsettled, which you know how we are. We got all these ideas in our head. We're going to go this way, we're going to go that way. And so I just slow myself down and got at peace with where I'm supposed to be in life. And I feel like right now, this time is where it's supposed to happen. So that's how I got it on the paper, man.
So did when you say you got at peace with yourself, was you inspired by any kind of religious beliefs, or how did it come to the point where you started getting into what word I'm looking for? You getting into bringing yourself about
centering stuff,
settling down and just saying I need to make a change.
It's a good question. Not from a religious standpoint. I do feel like I'm a spiritual being. I like that saying about being a spiritual being on a human journey, and not human beings on a spiritual journey.
Okay.
So I kind of subscribe to that. But really, the notion of me, I mean, people who know me know me as a never worry guy for almost 20 years. And in order for me to be that guy, I have to really live that.
Right.
So I'm very conscious about what I let affect me, what I respond to. And so the peace comes from being very comfortable with who I am, and finding peace in this project was really just slowing down, because sometimes when you got that hustler's mentality, you always on the move, you're always grinding, and to slow down and kind of let some stuff come to me instead of chasing it, So there's one thing that says, instead of chasing stuff, you got to sit back sometime and attract it.
Right. So you said project, and that in itself has given you something to do, to give you something to focus on, to lay it on out like that.
Yeah.
Now we talked a little bit off the camera and about way back where it started at, to the stress free, that stress free thing. Now, and we were talking about how the transition, how you just went into stress free, then went down to never worry, and it was like, I was like, man, it's almost like you didn't even see the transition. It's all, like I said, looking at I never worry, I still see the stress free.
Yeah, and it's all relevant. It's all the same. It's really at the end of the day, when I first started, if someone sees never worry and they ask me, what's never worry? I found myself always going back to where it come from, the streets and that kind of stuff. And so, but then you're in airports and you running into people, whatever. People don't really want to hear that piece of it. Want to find a more purposeful way to do things. And so I say now, all these years, I wanted you to never worry. I promoted never worry.
Right.
So now I'm going to teach you how to never worry.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break or whatever, and, take a few minutes, and we'll be right back to you guys. It's the Romelite Show. All right, welcome back to the Romelite Show. Sorry, you guys, Rome's still tied up in the back. We ain't letting him on the set this time. We got this thing hijacked, Right before we left, I was getting ready to explain about this whole notion of not worrying, never worry. A lot of times when people ask me that, well, how is it that you can not worry? And I tell them it's easy, and then they give me this little, right? They want to know. And so that's part of the birth of, when you asked about the iNeverWorry, I always wanted to be able to demonstrate what that means. And so this platform that we're using is called emotional intelligence. And there are 4 components to being emotionally intelligent. The first 2 is self-awareness and self-regulation. The second 2 is social awareness and relationship management. So they're broken down to 2 competencies, personal and social. So the personal part, the first one, the self-awareness, is really, really important, because a lot of times, most of us, we look in the mirror every single day, but we never really make eye contact, right? So if you think about that, we look in the mirror, we wash our face, we brush our teeth, but we really never really looking at like who you are, like how do people see you, right? And then what are the things that really, really make you feel good, make you feel bad, and we're never really honest about how we feel. Right. So most of us, as gentlemen, right, something could be wrong with you. You can walk in, I can see something going on with you, and if I say, Mo, what's wrong with you, man? More than likely you're going to say, Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
I'm cool, right? But the reality is, it's all over your face, like we can clearly see it.
Yeah.
So we're not in tune, you know what I'm saying? We're not comfortable with sharing our emotions unless we're super happy, we don't mind sharing good news, or we're extremely mad, we don't mind criticism and complaining. But there's a lot of emotions in between, and part of not being able to worry is understanding your emotions in its present state and not after the fact.
So, being that you said that, I want you to give us an example of how would you diffuse a situation, because we talked earlier. You noticed some things about me on my Facebook page, and I can get into some deep conversations. Sometimes I take opinions that I don't ask for, you know, and being that it's social media. Is something I have to understand that people are like, I open up a forum so people going, whether I want an opinion or not, somebody's going to come on there and give me something. Either I like it or I don't like it. Most of the times it's stupid to me, so I come back and say something.
Right.
So how do you prevent stuff like that? You know, like how do I go about, or anybody that's looking at this, how do I go about to diffuse a situation like that?
Good question. So there's a couple of little inner strategies that I use, right? One, I say to myself, just because somebody throw me the ball doesn't mean I got to catch it.
Right.
Right? Or just because people have issues don't mean you got to subscribe to them. So those are things that always go on in my head when I see stupid stuff, right? It happens to me all the time. People are very critical about your lifestyle or what you do. Or for me, like some of the biggest things coming out the streets, when I became a peace officer for the probation department, everybody, you know, a group of people would be like, oh, DB the police, right? So they want me to respond and defend the fact that I'm not the police. But the truth of the matter is I am a peace officer. So I am something like the police. So I'm going to own it, but instead of me responding and trying to defend it, I'm going to say, you should be happy that I'm on this side. So when your little bad kid gets in trouble, I'm the contact, right? So sometimes you have to, you have to gauge your audience and see if they're receptive to countering what they're saying. If they're just totally ignorant, whatever, then you just don't respond. Because that conversation is not going to land anywhere, right? You know, when you're talking to certain people, like they're just not going, they don't get it. They're not there yet. So you pick your battles, right? Small enough to win, big enough to matter, right? And for us, we have to be okay with letting people have those wins. Right, conflict it usually happens, right, because we just you just need to hear my part of it, but let them have it. Your side is still valid. You still got value, right? You don't have to. But the stress comes in. Here's the number one thing right here, like the key. If you don't remember nothing else, stress happens when your expectations don't match reality. What you want to be happening is not happening. So you want this person to understand. You want them to receive it, but it's not happening. So they cause you frustration and stress. And then once that kicks in, we start making decisions or reacting to a way that's counterproductive to a solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I got that.
And so, the other part of emotional intelligence we talked about is managing your reactions. So once you understand who you are, the things that bother you, getting a hold of yourself, right? Understanding being very honest with yourself. Like one of the things that I say is that one of the things we lie about the most is being honest with ourselves, right? It's one thing we don't really embrace, our faults, things we're good at, things we're not so good at. But the other part about it is manage those reactions, right? Segueing into what we're talking about here, like, just because, right, you feel a certain kind of way, right? How do you manage that response? Because none of this is about saying that you can't feel a certain kind of way. You can get upset, you can be depressed, you can be frustrated, but what do you do with those emotions? And that's the key to it. You know what I mean? Learning how to manage your emotions and and how do you do that? So for me, I just get quiet. Like, so as soon as something triggers me that I know that it's not cool, I just get quiet because I need to put some space in between my response. All right, whether it's really good, most of the time when it's bad, but even when it's good stuff, I usually don't just respond because I want to give myself an opportunity to kind of think things through. Because you know how we always say, if you look back at something, how you do something different. Well, how about forward thinking, right, and projecting how you want to handle the situation. When we talk.
I like that because I like what you said earlier. One thing is to me is the worst lie you can tell is the one you tell to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't pay attention to that. Then I like what else you said, because sometimes if I get mad, I sit down. If I'm angry, I sit down. If sitting down don't work, I lay down. If laying down don't work, I go to sleep. When I wake up, I feel much better. So I love the fact that your key points are so on point, man, and they need to this. I can't wait till this book to come out. I'm gonna buy a copy, and I want everybody else that knows me and support the book and buy the book. Black people, the book is thin. It's not thick. It's not like the Bible. So you ain't got. You can, matter of fact, you can read this book. I'm looking at the book. You can read the book from the Coliseum to the Fruitvale station. You'll be through with it.
Absolutely. And that was intentional because I know we don't like to spend a lot of time in it. So we're going to take another quick little break. Again, it's the Romelite Show. We appreciate you guys hanging with us. We'll see you in a few. All right, welcome back to the Romelite Show. So we just finished talking a little bit about the iNeverWorry motto. Talking about emotional intelligence. The first part of it, we talked about self-awareness, and we talked about managing your emotions or your reactions or self-regulation. But Mara, you had some thoughts about that?
There's on social media, because that's what our life is lived on now through social media. There's that big word that everybody gets. Well, it's not a big word, but what I mean is that everybody elaborate on is judgmental, being judgmental. Can you touch bases on, is there a right and wrong way to be judgmental?
So that is a very interesting word, and I'm glad you asked that, because one of the things that I do talk about in the book is allowing people to have their own perspective. Right. So, everybody in this room could be looking at the same thing and see something different. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that either one of us is right or wrong. It's our reality. And so what happens is that when people start throwing that judgmental thing out there, what they're saying is that I'm not validating how you perceive the world, right? Because that's just their reality, And so I think that it's one of those things that's loosely based. To me, like, judging somebody is really like forming an opinion about you before I get to know you.
Yeah,
it's personal,
right? It's personal.
Everybody got their own little personal thing about being judgmental. So if somebody judging anybody, it's opinionated,
right?
So when people come at me with any type of judgmental thing, I pretty much just let it be. You know what I mean? It's something that you could opt to not respond to. You know what I mean? Because people gonna have their opinions about you.
And that's what it's one of my pet peeves when people say, "Who are you to judge?" And that's the reason why I asked you to elaborate on that, because some people are like, I don't judge people, and I hate that saying too. I don't judge. You have to judge,
but everybody has that right to judge too.
You have to judge in order to. When you observe something and you see it, you form your opinion. That's judging. If I see somebody smoking crack and I'm looking at it and I see his reaction, I don't want to smoke crack. I'm a judging, man. He's doing something stupid. I don't want to do it. So that's the thing. That's the reason why I asked you that, because some people always come up with this holier than thou. Who are you to judge? And I don't judge people, but you full of.
We all do it.
But you know what it boils down to? It boils down to the emotional feel, how they feel about it. Like when people get emotionally, which is reason why my platform is talking about emotions. Because when people start feeling, people get into their feelings right, it's hard to stick to the facts, right,
Yeah.
on how things is. So I think, there's different sides of that worry. There is some, you can see something and form an opinion about it before you get to know the person, right, all day, every day. I mean, you talked about that, about the lady walking down the street, you know what I'm saying, while we're waiting, checking people's doors and cars. I just assume she's trying to break in.
Right.
But I really don't know what's going on with her. She could own the block before we know. We just don't know, right? Yeah. So I think and we do it by nature,
Sometimes I think like it is different levels and sections of being judgmental, because you can come at it from at a point that you're attacking somebody too. If you're being judgmental, it depends on it depends on the energy, I believe, coming from a person towards another person being judgmental, and it depends on what's going on. You know what I mean? What's going on in front of you? Because, like you said, we can judge anything we see. We can judge anything we see, and we all have that right. But when you're attacking somebody with, I think, maybe it's stepping over that little boundary a little bit sometimes, and you got the option to deal with it how you want to deal with it. Whoever's receiving that energy, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Appreciate that. Boy.
Oh, it's time for my rant, man. We're gonna make this one simple. This rant is based on we gotta have our kids do better, man. And I see, I'm going off the book, iNeverWorry. This is something that I am worried about because I have kids myself, and so it's letting our kids say these words and put it in their daily vocabulary, like fleek and turned up, and I go hard. We just say a whole bunch of different words. We as parents starts at home. There's nothing wrong with the kids knowing the language, but using it at the proper times. Every time I'm in a store, I'm at a mall, or I'm anywhere, I'm embarrassed by kids coming and saying these crazy words. You gotta put your kids in a place to be able to use a vocabulary when it's time for them to get a job. What's going to happen when your kids are used to just using these words and they go on an interview and the job asks them, so why should we hire you? Your son and daughter are going to say, because I go hard in the paint. You know what I'm saying? Or are you a punctual employee? Man, of course I'm gonna be catting off. These people that's hiring you ain't gonna understand your child. So we have to get on them about using certain, like my kids are able to listen to E40 and any other rap, but at the same time I'm teaching them. You don't use the same words when you talking to me or in my household. My kids can't even use the words when we drive in the car. They can't even say the word. They got to bleep it out like it's a clean CD at Walmart. Because I want them to get used to using the English language correctly. And there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with using the what do we call it?
Slang.
The slang, yeah, slang. There we go. See, I'm so trying to fix my vocabulary. I didn't even know I say slang. You know what I'm saying? But let's stop all the foolishness, parents, and let's correct these kids when they talking, so we can have a intelligent talking black youth.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you guys. So we're going to get ready to start wrapping this up. I appreciate you guys giving me a platform to Jerome to share the knowledge in the book. I really wrote this from a perspective. I realized that I had 4 different audiences. I had the people who know me from the streets. I have the people who know me only as a professional, people who've been with me along the way, and there's people who don't know me at all. But I want to make sure that everybody could pull something from this book that they can use in their personal lives. It certainly is not about me. I do use some of my personal testimony, right, to highlight a lot of the strategies and techniques that I talk about in there. But for the most part, it's designed to be a good read that lands in your reference library. And 100 years from now, everybody know I was still here. All right. So it's a good afternoon, you guys, man. This is the Romelite Show. Peace and love.